Hello, what I'm going to be going through today is exactly how to create one of these. This is a wire frame to go behind a mask so that you can breathe a little better. It's good for people who are trying to sing with a mask on, as well as just general breathing, and for people who are claustrophobic wearing a mask. This part goes against the face. As you can see up top here, it actually is slightly shorter at the top so that it's closer to your nose still. And then this part here is roughly where your mouth will be. And it really works. I've been using it for a couple of weeks now in order to be able to breathe while doing things. And it's been quite nice. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. So here's our parts list. What you're going to need is some snub nose pliers, a wire cutter, a lighter. Obviously, if you see that there's inches on here, you are going to need to have a ruler. It's not mentioned specifically. We're going to need some heat shrink tubing and some solid gauge wire, as well as another piece of solid gauge wire and a butt splice connector. What that is this little thing which basically allows you to connect a wire to a wire. And that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get started. So how this whole thing works here is we're going to take our long 16-inch wire and we're going to basically go through and measure just like that little diagram showed. We're going to measure the first half, which would be basically 2.5 inches. So I'm going to go 2.5 inches on this wire. There we go. Take my snub nose pliers and bend it. Then I'm going to measure another 2 inches, which will be the side where your mouth is at. Or sorry, where it's on your cheek. 2 inches right here. Going to bend that again. Same kind of direction to make a fun little square. I'm going to take 7 inches, which would be the length of the full top of this guy, or bottom of it, so 7 inches. Bend this guy again. Take 2 inches for the side, right there. And there we go. So there is the main frame of the mask. So as you can see, you kind of have to bend it in a little bit for it to fully match up, but that's it. So now from here, what you're going to want to do is take your shrink tubing. We're going to cut it in half, and then take the other side of that and cut that in half again. So we'll need that later. So you take the long one, you go ahead and slide it on. And of course, these things don't need to be perfectly even. If you really want it to be perfectly even, you can do so, but mine is not perfectly even. It's fine. There we go. So then you go, and you don't actually want to take any of the wire coating off the outside. You want to keep it like this. It actually sticks a little better. So we're going to slide in this end. We're going to crimp it down on the butt connector. So while we're crimping this down, you can make these in any size. I went with 16 inches because that usually kind of works the best for me. But you can make them smaller for smaller masks, whichever. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other side in there. I'm going to crimp this side as well. I always do make sure to crimp both sides. Sometimes it can get a little loose if you don't crimp both sides pretty firmly. Okay, so that is crimped. You can double check, just make sure it's not going to move open. And then we go ahead and we put on our shrink tubing over that. Grab our lighter. And we just kind of really quickly shrink the shrink tubing. So do make sure to not sit on a specific spot of the shrink tubing for too long. It won't flame up or anything, but it doesn't really help, and you could possibly melt a hole through it. So we're just kind of trying to make it a little firm. So there we go. So this is the basic shape. You can see, like I said, it's a little off center. If it really bothers you, you can fix it, but it's not really that big of a deal. All right, so now that we got this basic shape done, we're gonna take another 4-inch piece of wire, and we're just gonna go in and wrap it around the top. So the way to do this, obviously, the simple thing is just to get it started a bit. And then this is the important part, is once you kind of get it over the top in general, is you want to take your snub nose pliers and real tightly pinch it right next to it. You do want to kind of try to eyeball it to be centered, and for this one at least. And there you go. So you just pinch it right at the top, like that, and make it nice and tight. Take one of your little half shrink tubes, or I guess it'd be a quarter shrink tube, slide it on there. Keep it nice and tight. Grab our lighter again. And we're gonna shrink tube this guy. This will keep it from moving and also make it where nothing pokes you. So there we go. Shrink tube is done. It also prevents anything from sliding. Now that that's done, this is gonna be the full height. This is obviously the top. So we're gonna go in here and figure out the exact height we want, which is about this. And we're gonna do the same idea here. Oops, forgot to put the shrink tube on. So slide the shrink tube on and wrap it around. Get that out of the way. Wrap it around again. Same idea here. Use the pliers to pinch it in there, nice and tight. Looks good. Slide the shrink tube on. Last but not least, shrink tube it in. Okay, we're good. And that's basically it. At this point then, you would just go through and bend it out for comfort. If you wanted to kind of like bend it out in such a way where it's tiered and not just straight up like V shape, that's fine. So I'm just gonna bend it a bit like that. There we go. And this is now fully functional. So I'm gonna go through and test it out. I'm gonna put it inside the mask, like so. It is meant to be freestanding, and the elasticity of your mask will actually keep it propped against your face. And so, just like that, try it on. And it fits. So as you can see, breathing will actually still keep the mask away from my face, and I'm able to breathe much more freely, and it does not hit against my mouth, which is very comfortable. So that is it, and I hope that this is helpful.